Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. A lot to do here in hour number 2. I got a reaction to a lot of the SEC teams around that conference in baseball over the weekend. Maybe get to some basketball as well a little bit later on. But we start the hour with Jeff Palermo. He is the news and sports director at Louisiana Radio Network. Was on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network over in Jacksonville all weekend long. Joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Jeff, thanks for the time. How are you?
I am doing well, Hunt. How about yourself?
Doing quite well. Set the scene for me over there in Jacksonville on TV. Looks like a really nice ballpark and some nice LSU crowds. What was the vibe like over there?
Yeah, it's this is the third time that I've been able to lucky enough to accompany the LSU baseball team and call the games for when they went over to one of these round robin tournaments that have been put together by D1 Baseball and Peak Events. I've also been to a couple of them in Houston. This one was, the ballpark was really cool. AAA ballpark that's being renovated at the moment. Of course, AAA ballpark for the Miami Marlins. We had a great advantage point in the broadcast booth. Jacksonville is kind of a spread out city, so it didn't seem like LSU fans. I think were probably a little bit more scattered. There's not a ton to do like right next to the ballpark, but it's I think LSU fans really enjoyed it. I always think this is, for an LSU fan, this is kind of one of the more underrated trips you can take. I know LSU fans get fired up to go to the big road football game, or especially if it's at a venue that LSU doesn't travel too much, or obviously when LSU's gets to a national championship game or whatever it may be. But this is always, to me, like a really cool event because you're gonna watch the game at a cool ballpark. The stakes are not too high, right? You're not gonna leave there if they lose all upset and mad. And you're spending time in a pretty cool town, whether it's Jacksonville, Round Rock, Frisco, or wherever else they may go in the future, because Jay said last week that they're kind of committed to this event for the next several years. So I always thought that this is a good little road trip weekend, and the LSU fans that go to it enjoy it. And LSU's had a lot of success in this peak event. They've won 8 of the 9 games that they've played in. So, this weekend they were by far the more dominant team than the other 3 schools that were there.
No question about that. Now, you watched them all 3 games after the trailing after 7 innings on Friday. It was total domination the rest of the way. I lauded their offense in my first segment today. I just thought it was so complete and so dominant. What did you see offensively from the Tigers over those 3 days?
I think that's the big thing you come away with from this is that, and Notre Dame's coach talked about it after Saturday's game, in that LSU just puts pressure on you by basically not doing anything, meaning they're not swinging at pitches out of the strike zone. They're not, playing at pitches that are in the dirt or high and out of the strike zone. I mean, there were a few times guys chased a little bit, but they really force the pitchers to throw quality pitches. And we saw some guys go out there and maybe for 1 inning, maybe even for 2 innings, they would be able to put up zeros. But eventually this offense is going to get to you because you're going to start to make some mistakes in the zone. And it's 1 through 9, Hunt. There's not a breather there. There's not a guy that's hitting 205 in the number 8 hole, and you're saying, okay, here I go. I can get this guy out, and then I can wiggle myself out of the inning. It's every guy is giving you a quality at bat, and it just wears on the opposing pitcher. And that's why you see not just LSU scoring 1 run here or 2 runs there and then a run here. I mean, they're putting up crooked numbers, 3 runs here, 4 runs there, 9 runs in the 8th inning. It's just because it just wears on the opposing pitching staff And once LSU smells blood in the water, they go attacking, and they're able to put up big runs. It was the plate approach this weekend to me that was the biggest storyline from this team, because offensively there's just not an easy out in the lineup, and that's really tough for the opposing pitcher to navigate through.
As crucial as these guys were to winning for LSU, and they were, like, to your point, there's no Michael Braswell here, there's no Alex Milazzo here, there's no freshman Andrew Stevenson in this lineup to just to give you an easy out. It's to your point, it's been remarkable to watch in the last couple of weeks. Kate Arambidi had a couple of home runs. It seemed like the wind was whipping pretty good. What can you say about yesterday's home run in terms of what he hit it into?
Yeah, because the first 2 days it was, just like it was here in Baton Rouge. Friday and Saturday were warm days. So when it's warm, the wind's blowing out to left field, and I thought we would see a few more home runs in that ballpark. And then on Sunday, the cold front moves through and the wind shifts, so it's blowing in or kind of left to right. And Arambidi, it was just a no doubt as soon as he left his bat. I mean, it was crushed into a pretty good at least a 15 mile per hour wind, and it barely took anything off of it. Jay Johnson said something to me, and I think he's probably alluded to this in all the different interviews that he does, but he hit on it again on Saturday when I was doing my pregame interview with him after Arambidi reached base 6 times on Friday. He had 4 walks, and you got Jake Brown, you got Derek Curiel, you got Stephen Milam. Those are I would say the 3 big star position player guys on this team. But Jay said when it's all said and done, it might be Cade Arambidi, the best player on this team. I mean, he's improved defensively, and he's got just massive power. And he just looks, when you watch him, you're sitting there saying, yeah, that's what a major league catcher looks like. And for him to hit home runs in back-to-back days, and knowing you're not going to wear him out because you can use Omar Cerna on Saturday. So it's not like and then, when Cerna was behind the plate, they had Arambidi DH in Saturday. So it's an opportunity. You'll keep his bat in the lineup, but you don't have to necessarily lean on him to be your lone catcher as long as, Cerna stays healthy. So to me, he's in store for a huge season at LSU.
Jeff Palermo is our guest, was on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network, all 3 games in Jacksonville, also host of Tiger Rag Radio. So pitching-wise, what did you see from William Schmidt on Sunday afternoon?
Well, that was what we've been anticipating, I think, from William Schmidt since he came to LSU. The fact that he can command all his pitches and throw them for strikes. He got a lot of looking strikes. He had a lot of opposing hitters for UCF hitters. Their knees were buckling as that breaking ball was coming in there and it was being called for a strike. I think that was very impressive from him. I thought in the 4th inning when he gives up the leadoff double, he bears down. He gets the next 3 guys out. Now, I don't know. We'll see how good any of these teams are. Right. I think that's, if you're looking for a drawback, I would say the last 2 seasons that LSU went to Frisco and then this year into Jacksonville, I would say the competition isn't as good. Like if they went to Globe Life Field or when they went to Houston, they were always facing some really good power programs. And here, we'll see. There's a chance none of those other 3 teams make an NCAA region. None of them made last year, but still. William Schmidt looked like he was in total command. And I only saw him pitch once at Catholic High. It was his last outing, the state championship game when they won it. And the thing that when I watched him in that game was, he's got this fastball that's in the mid to upper 90s. And there's a lot of guys that throw hard, maybe not necessarily that hard in high school. But it was what he can do with his curveball and slider that would just that made him unhittable on the high school level. And that's what I saw in this game. The fact that he was able, with that curveball and slider, to get swings and misses, to throw it in there for a strike, to throw it on whatever the count was, to me that was the most impressive. And hopefully that carries forward.
And the other impressive arm that looked really good on TV was Sheeran, what that looked like in person once he found his command after the 2 walks.
Man, it looked. You're like in the 7th inning there. You're thinking, man, Notre Dame might be able to make a game out of this. He walks 2 guys, and I think at that point then the bases were loaded, if I remember. Well, they had to be loaded at that point because he came in with a man on, and then he buckled down and he got those next 2 guys out, and then he strikes out the side in the 8th, and that was just absolutely electric. I mean, and Jay Johnson said it very well. After Saturday's game against Notre Dame, and Ethan Plog pitched very well right in front of Sheeran. And he said if Plog and Sheeran pitch like that, then that just raises the ceiling of this team because there's already a lot of guys you can count on out of that bullpen. I mean, Maverick Rizzi is one, Gavin Guidry. There's going to be other guys that kind of develop. And so now you add these 2 guys, that would be impressive. And remember, they're a little bit inexperienced, and that is the good thing about this is, especially the Friday game, and I think some of these other games that we've seen where LSU's faced a little bit of adversity. You just want them to. You want to see them get challenged here a little bit, even though the competition isn't too stiff, but at least they'll get challenged and see how they react and to see how they exploded offensively Friday against Indiana, and then to see Plug and Sheeran perform the way that they did when Notre Dame was about ready to get back into the game and was really putting pressure on LSU. I think that's really good to see, and I would imagine those guys are much more confident pitchers today than they were on Thursday or Friday.
Great job over the weekend in Jacksonville, Jeff. We appreciate a little bit of time on this Monday.
All right, Hunt. Thanks. Appreciate it, man.
He is Jeff Palermo. He's there with the Louisiana Radio Network, also host of Tiger Rag Radio, was on the call for the LSU Sports Radio Network over the weekend in Jacksonville. He mentioned LSU is upped with peak events for the next few years. Keep an eye out west next year. LSU could be headed to Las Vegas. That's the one they have not been to yet. I'm just connecting dots there. Wink, wink. I think there's a chance LSU could be out in Vegas next year. I want to talk a little bit more about LSU's bullpen, and I'll do that in 15 minutes. When we come back, some of the things that I picked up over the weekend in college baseball that maybe you missed if you were just locked into LSU or watching the Olympics and didn't pay attention at all to baseball. I'll talk about it when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC online at fabrychevrolet.com, but in St. Francisville on Highway 61, now under new ownership, in there since October the 1st. Fabry family been here a lot longer than October the 1st. Been here for 35 years in business, 3 locations, 5 brands. You know the Fabry family. Incredible customer service, great service after the sale, just a wonderful buying experience. And they're happy to have you in St. Francisville on Highway 61. February is almost over, and I've been telling you about trucks all month long. So let me tell you a couple more times, because February is not quite over yet, and you can still get to them in St. Francisville today. Chevy Silverados, up to $11,000 off MSRP or 1.9 APR financing. Pretty good deal. GMC Sierras, up to $13,000 off MSRP, 0.0 APR financing. Incredible deals on incredible trucks at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or check out that entire inventory online at fabrychevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
March Madness is heading to Las Vegas, and LouisianaSports.net is sending one of you plus a friend with it. We're giving away a free 3-night Las Vegas getaway from Wednesday, March 18th through Saturday, March 21st, just in time to watch all the madness. Hotel, stay, and flights are covered. All you have to do to enter is head to LouisianaSports.net, click the March Madness getaway link, sign up before our March Madness Pick'em launches, get yourself entered, and you can be watching the tournament from Las Vegas instead of your couch. Winners will be announced Monday, March 2nd.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Great read. Amazing read.
Thank you. Progress.
I'll try one.
Okay.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. They started up in 1910. 116 years later, they are still rocking and rolling in Southeast Louisiana. They've expanded to 25 locations throughout the state, so there's always one near you. Whether you're in St. Tammany, Tangipahoa up on I-12, or down in the river parishes, St. James, St. John's, Lafourche, Terrebonne, or right around Baton Rouge, Dutchtown, Jones Creek, there is a First American Bank and Trust here. For your commercial loans, your residential loans, First American Bank and Trust needs to be the first call that you make. It's a community bank. People that are born here, raised here, from here, And every decision that's made at First American Bank and Trust is made right here in Southeast Louisiana. No call center in Seattle. Nobody in Atlanta. It's people in your community. So do business with a local bank that's got 25 locations and the resources necessary to help you out. It's First American Bank and Trust. Just a quick whip around the Southeastern Conference, not even hitting on nearly all the teams because a lot of teams are just outclassing teams this time of year in baseball. But the big news of the weekend probably is that Tennessee lost 2 out of 3 to Kent State. That resonates 2 different ways here in Baton Rouge. One, Kent State just left here on Monday. They played 3 against Southeastern, swept them, played awesome. I thought played really nicely against LSU on Monday. The Tigers just too much offensively for their midweek pitching, and so LSU ends up winning that game. But I thought they played pretty well. And then they go up to Knoxville, and it wasn't like, oh, they stole a game. Like, they beat Tennessee over the course of the weekend. Friday's game was a 4-3 game. Really tight contest on Friday. Tennessee needed a walk-off home run in the 9th inning to win it. Then you've got a Saturday game where Kent State beats them 2-1. And then you've got a Sunday game where Kent State beats them 9-5. So Kent State just straight went up there and beat them. And I think Kent State's going to be a solid team. Hard for me to say right now that Kent State is definitely an NCAA tournament team because the MAC doesn't necessarily get a lot of bids to the NCAA tournament. So they probably have to win their conference tournament. But they're good. I mean, they're a solid veteran baseball team. And they showed that now over the course of 2 weeks. That's a lot of evidence to suggest that they know what they're doing. So I think that was a nice job for Kent State if you're looking at LSU's perspective in getting that win last Monday. Then there's the Tennessee perspective, right? And LSU fans have kind of looked at Tennessee as a bit of a rival in baseball the last few years. They've won the last 3 national titles. And now Tony Vitello leaves, and it's like, okay, what's left? This is not a point and laugh, ha-ha, why'd you hire Josh Elander? This thing's a disaster. It's way premature for that. But y'all know my stance on this. Like, just hiring the guy next to the guy oftentimes doesn't mean you've hired the guy. Like, it looks like John Shire's doing really great things at Duke. But, like, Hubert Davis was uninspiring to me at North Carolina. Michael Early looks completely over his skis at Texas A&M. You understand, like, how this thing goes. And so it's early, but I just expect a pretty precipitous fall off of that program over time. They're still very talented this year. Very talented. They've got a transfer from Rice that's going to be a monster this year. Tegan Coons is a talented pitcher at the front of their rotation. Like, they've got some dudes, and they're going to be okay. Losing 2 out of 3 to Kent State, no big deal. But expecting Tennessee to make nearly annual trips to Omaha and hoisting another national championship, like, that would surprise me if Josh Elander was able to sustain that. And what they have to be careful of at Tennessee is that some sort of Michael Early situation doesn't happen for them this year, because if that happens, like, I know they just built that stadium, and I might be overstepping my boundaries here, but, like, I could see a situation where Tennessee fans, like, check out on baseball. It's like, oh, well, that was fun, kind of a Vitello thing. We got football, we got basketball, we're in on that. Because, like, you realize you got to divvy up the cash here. And I could see Tennessee, even though they just built that stadium, thinking, oh, well, that was fun while we had it, but what are we doing here? We'll see. But that's kind of where I am on that. Speaking of Michael Early and A&M, I might as well go to that next. They played Penn this weekend. You might have missed this. They beat them 1-0 on Friday. Scored 1 run. They beat them 2-1 in 11 on Saturday. So through 20 innings, they scored 3 runs on Penn. Now, they had only given up 1, so they were 2-0. And they beat them 7-1 on Sunday. So nice job on the mound by the Aggies. But offensively, against an Ivy League squad that was making its season debut, the Ivy League doesn't play on opening weekend, so this was their first games of the year. Not great offensively. Now, caveat there, they were missing 2 guys. They were missing Caden Sorrell, who's a star, and they were missing Gavin Grahovic, who was missed time due to injury. So, sorry, not Grahovic. It was Hakopian, their shortstop they didn't have. So they were missing 2 of their bats, but still, you miss 2 guys, you got to score more than that against Penn. Not great offensively for the Aggies over the weekend. Big weekend for the Auburn Tigers this weekend. Without Chris Rembert, their second baseman, one of the best second basemen, maybe the best second baseman in the country. They beat Kansas State 5-1, beat Florida State 8-5, beat Louisville 10-6. So won all of those games by at least 3 runs. looked good doing it. I think the top of that Auburn staff looks pretty good to me. Not huge on velocity, but their lefty on Friday nights has a really good breaking ball and knows how to pitch. And he stymied Kansas State over the weekend. They held them to 1 run on Friday. So I think Auburn, Butch Thompson got a pretty good team this year. I like their young bats that they need to get healthy, get Rembert back. But and then the pitching they brought in, it's just an upgrade. Last year I was just skeptical of Auburn because I just didn't think a team that had Sam Dutton trotting out there on Fridays was going to go to Omaha. Like, that just seemed far-fetched to me. Now, they got a terrible draw because they got Coastal sent to their regional or super, and Coastal in a super is a nightmare because you saw those two pitchers. Like, we saw them in Omaha. They did a number on LSU. LSU couldn't solve Fluky at all, and then they got the guy out in game 2, the big conference pitcher of the year. They got him out early, but that's a tough super draw for Auburn, and they couldn't handle it. But this looks to be, to me, a little bit better to me. And so that was a big weekend for Auburn. Good stuff for them over the weekend. And then I'm keeping an eye out on this because this is LSU's week 2 SEC opponent. And Oklahoma has played thus far Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, New Mexico State, and Coppin State. And they've outscored their opponents in 8 games 99-13. Now, Coppin State is awful. I can tell that. I didn't see one pitch of the games over the weekend, but Oklahoma won those games so lopsidedly that I know there's no chance Coppin State is any good. I'll read you the scores. I didn't pull them up, so I'll do it now. But I can tell just by looking at the numbers on the screen that Coppin State stinks. Friday, 22-1. Saturday, 24-0. Sunday, 11-0. 7 innings all 3 times. But still, the lopsidedness that Oklahoma is playing with, that even applied to last weekend, is pretty wild. And just for those that are curious, Cam Johnson, former Tiger, 3 walks in 11 innings thus far. That's a guy who walked 3 before he broke a sweat in Baton Rouge. So he's doing a nice job for him. LSU starts the conference season at Vanderbilt, and then they are going to come back and play Oklahoma at home. And the Sooners look to be pretty solid early on. I don't draw a lot from the Coppin State weekend. In fact, nothing from the Coppin State weekend. But that first weekend in Globe Light for them was awful impressive. So good stuff for Skip Johnson's team there in Norman. LSU will see them in, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks from now. So let's look around the Southeastern Conference at a little bit of baseball. Let me tell you about Boudreaux's Electrical. Boudreaux's Electrical, if you're looking to get into a Generac home standby generator for your home, Boudreaux's Electrical is your best option. Look, they're local. If you look for a Generac home standby generator, you're looking at Boudreaux's, the local option, or generally 4 that have been invested in private equity. Do business with the Boudreaux family that have been doing this for 40 years. They're going to be able to service your generator if there are issues that arise. They've got the ability to monitor them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's just a peace of mind that you get from having that local company that can be at the ready to help you out, to make sure that your generator is at the ready when you need it. Storm season, afternoon thunderstorms in the summer, winter events. Make sure your power doesn't go out. That's a drag when it happens. Make sure it doesn't. So go to BoudreauxElectrical.com. You can get started. And if you've already bought a Generac home standby generator, but you don't have the customer service you're looking for, get the Boudreaux's Boost. Contact them. Let them come and handle your maintenance, handle your service to make sure that generator is running all year long. Check them out online, BoudreauxElectrical.com. We'll come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate Jeff Palermo for jumping aboard there at the top of hour number 2. A lot of baseball talk at the first 30 minutes of the show today, and there's been a lot of baseball talk just in general. We're going to get back into it here. One thing I saw over the weekend that I really took note of, and I told y'all this as a precursor. I personally feel better about my ability to evaluate pitchers from the television copy. I'm just not good at sitting on the third baseline in a scrimmage or in the press box at the box and evaluating what pitch shapes look like and how guys are attacking hitters. I'm just not good at that. I'm much better at looking at it from behind and seeing how things work. And this was my first real look at Devin Sheeran from that perspective on the television copy, and it was jarring because the radar gun says 97, 98, and then he started throwing that slider, and he was buckling Notre Dame hitters. And sorry, UCF hitters. But no, that was Notre Dame. It was Saturday. It was Notre Dame hitters. Rizzi pitched against UCF. But Sheeran on Saturday looked awesome. He got 4 strikeouts in the inning and 2/3 that he pitched. And as I look at him, it's just very easy to make the Chase Shores comparison. They're both really tall. Shores is obviously taller, but both really big and physical. Sheeran's 245 pounds. They both have starting backgrounds. Shore started at LSU in 2 different stints as a freshman and as a redshirt sophomore, and both have transitioned to the bullpen. Both have high 90s fastballs. Both have sharp sliders. And I think you could see Devin Sheeran fitting into the role that Chase Shores filled late last year. That is 5 outs, 3 outs, but end of game, high leverage, just come in and let it rip. Chase Shores didn't really work out as a starter. He didn't miss a lot of bats as an SEC starter, just kind of average results. And finally, they just took him out of that role last year. Let Case and Evans have a shot. And then you saw him, and I remember this too. I was at the beach in April of last year on Easter week, and LSU was playing Alabama at home. And they brought Shores in, and he gave up a homer to left field. And I looked at my dad, and I said, Shores can't get anybody out. Like, they can't even use him. He throws 100, and they can't even use him. Like, that's what I thought of Shores midway through last year. And they kept running him out there, and eventually something clicked. And the way he threw the ball in the regional, certainly in the Super against West Virginia, and then he was dominant in Omaha, changed the season. And I'm not going to tell you that Devin Sheeran's going to be exactly like that, but the profile's there. Everything's there. Frame, velocity, pedigree. Like, there are a lot of guys that throw this hard where you can't get, there's no way you're going to get 6, 7, 8 outs from them. But guys that have started before can, and Shores did that, and Sheeran started at Mount St. Mary's. So, to me, he is going to be a high leverage reliever on this team for sure. The other side of this coin is a guy who I think is going to be a high leverage reliever on this team, and really already is, but doesn't have those attributes. That's Gavin Guidry. And you went to him in Friday's game, and he did give up a single and a run, but you saw the breaking ball, you saw the strikes, and now at this point, Guidry, 2 weeks into the season, has 11 strikeouts and 0 walks. And that's what I need out of the bullpen. Missing bats, no free bases. Sheeran broke the second part of that when he came in. He walked the first 2 guys he saw, but then he came back and found the strike zone, and he was just lights out. And this goes back to last year with Cowan and Evans, and then 2 years ago with Herring, where you kind of know that's how Jay Johnson wants to engineer this thing. And I think Guidry and Sheeran are first up. Both guys, I think, are very capable of taking the ball to start the 8th inning and finishing the game. And then they're probably not available the next day, so the other guy's got to do it. And this is what they did with Cowan and Evans last year, early in the year before Shores took over. So that, to me, those are the top 2 arms in the bullpen. They really like Ethan Plog. They really like Grant Fontenot, who hasn't thrown it very well in the first 2 weeks. They love the talent of Marcos Paz. They trust Maverick Rizzi to go out there and get outs. They used 9 bullpen guys over the weekend. Nobody pitched twice. Now, they weren't in a bunch of high leverage spots after Friday, but a weekend rarely features 3 games with super high leverage spots. It happens, just not all the time. Usually in an SEC weekend, there's a 7-2. There's a 13-4. Usually there's one of those. But in the high leverage spots, up 2, up 1, tied, down 1, I think Guidry and Sheeran have shown me they're ready for those spots. Now it's just a matter of filling out the rest of the roles, and I think they'd be just fine getting Rizzy out there. He looks very, very good as well. But this goes back to the point that I made with the starters. If you've been with us for 2 hours, I appreciate it, but you're going to get a little bit of a recycle here. Most of the time, the audience shuffles over the course of 90 minutes. This is the formula that would allow for your starting pitchers to kind of hit that wall at 5 innings and let go of the leash. And if you need the bullpen to come in and do like they did this weekend and eat 9 1/3, which if you don't run roll anybody is going to have to be 11 1/3, they've got enough dudes to get that done. But the highest leverage is what you've really got to figure out. And based on what I've watched for 2 weeks, Sheeran and Guidry are those two guys. They make hitters uncomfortable. They can miss bats. They can get strikeouts. I'm hopeful they're going to throw the ball over the plate. Guidry certainly does. Those are the attributes you need in your reliever. Unflappable, miss bats, ground balls, throw strikes. That's what you need. You don't need 4 pitches. You don't have to throw 98. Unflappable, miss bats, throw strikes. That's what you need. And I think from Sheeran and Guidry, that's what you're going to get. They want to get Fontenot up to that level, and I think that the effort's going to be made to do that. He throws 99 miles an hour, so let's try. Rizzy's there. And then those lefties, they got to sort it out. Plog's got to throw some more strikes, but he was really good on Saturday. And you heard Jeff Palermo in our segment to start this hour. He said, if Plog can do that, and then he mentioned Sheeran as well, if those two guys can do that, it elevates where we are as a team. And so right now, like confidence level, 1 through 10. 1, I think they're awful. 10, the best I've ever seen. You're looking at an offense that's like 8 or 9. You're looking at a bullpen that's like 7 or 8. You're looking at a starting rotation that's like 7. That's a pretty good place to be in. My defense is closer to a 4. But they got time to work on that, and we'll see. But the biggest development to me on the bullpen side of things, Guidry and Sheeran, I think, are going to be very, very good. Last thing on baseball, we'll take a timeout and close things up. Kate Arambidi got on base 6 times in a game, and then he also hit 2 home runs. He is blossoming into a really, really dynamic force offensively. And one of the things that I said last week, and I think it holds true, they expect him to be that. And part of the evolution of getting him to that spot is to give him days off. So he's going to get days off. And you've already seen thus far Omar Cerna start 3 games. 3 of the 8 games he started at catcher. And Arambidi has sat. So he's not played catcher. He's been the DH. So that's a really good way to get him off his feet and help him continue to swing the bat. He's hitting .367 on the year. His slugging is .767, and his on base is .486. That's some astronomical OPS that I can calculate here real quickly. It's early. The sample size is way too small to draw anything of massive significance. But the OPS is 1257. That's pretty salty. And Kate Arambidi, to this point, 3 home runs, also has 3 doubles. It's good. It's really, really good. And that's the development you had to see. I told you at the beginning of the season, I thought that he was one of the guys whose floor and ceiling were the furthest apart. And to this point, he's far closer to the ceiling against non-conference opponents. Got to translate it to the league, but this is a good first step at this point, and it's good to see. I like the fact that this lineup's humming the way that it is, and I look at the guys that have started at least 7 games, and the lowest 2 batting averages are Derek Curiel and Stephen Milam. I think those guys are going to be just fine, and they're hitting .333. So it's a good offense. It's in a really good spot. I'm happy with the way LSU's played early on. Obviously, they're 8-0. And now they'll return home tomorrow, and they'll take on McNeese at the Box night game, not a midday game, which is great for us. So we'll preview that one on tomorrow's show. Let's step aside. When we come back, we'll close it out. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Every car that is on the lot there on Highway 61 in St. Francisville is online at fabrychevrolet.com. Whether you're looking for an SUV, they've got the Chevy Tahoe, they've got the GMC Yukon, GMC Denali as well, gorgeous vehicles. If you're looking for a truck, I've been telling you about the great deals all month long, and they're about to be gone. It's all February. Silverado up to $11,000 off MSRP. Sierra up to $13,000 off MSRP. 5 figures off MSRP at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Check out the inventory at fabrychevrolet.com or go by and see them Highway 61 in St. Francisville. That's Fabry Chevrolet GMC.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Show here on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. A lot of baseball at the top of the show. First 30 minutes of the show were baseball today. Stepped into a little bit of a Saints discussion on the offensive line. Looks like a good time to be in the market for the spots that the Saints are looking for. Offensive guard, apparently very plentiful. Can find some corners. Running backs available as well. Edge rushers are out there too. And the Saints are probably need to be in the market for just about all of that at this point. And I'm curious to see how things go. The Combine cranks up this week. We'll have some coverage from there. Ross Jackson will be up there in Indianapolis for LouisianaSports.net. So curious to see how the LSU guys do up there and then what names kind of emerge for the New Orleans Saints. For the football guys, they're all in on the Combine. I don't know that all in is what I would suggest. I would never watch a rep of the Combine ever. Give me the results. I'll take a look at that. But I'm not going to watch guys do coverage drills through cones or watch guys sling the pigskin around a little bit. Maybe not a spiral throw there, which would be good. I mean, he should do everything he can do after. He needs to erase that year of tape as quickly as he possibly can. But we'll have coverage from the Combine. We'll talk a little bit about that. Thanks to Jeff Palermo for jumping aboard as well. He was on the call for LSU. And all weekend in the Jacks College Classic, LSU 8-1 in those tournaments put on by Peak Events. The one loss was to Iowa over in Round Rock in 2023, those national champions. But the good news is, and I talked about this when we talked to the president of Peak Events last week, LSU has now played in one of those Peak Events tournaments 3 times. First time was 2023. They won the national title. Second time was 2025. They won the national title. So now, third time, 2026, hopefully, they win a title. That'd be very nice. But they played well over the weekend. I've had a lot of reaction to it over the course of the last 2 hours. There's only one thing left to do on this Monday. Let's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so we're going to start it off with everybody hates the Dirty Birds anyway. So the Atlanta Falcons plan to franchise tag tight end Kyle Pitts ahead of NFL free agency, as Ian Rappaport reported. They hope that a long-term deal ultimately will get done. Pitts had an exceptional season last year, as he had 88 receptions, 928 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So the Falcons making the right decision by franchise tagging Kyle Pitts. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, I'll take it. I think he's good. They didn't throw it to him for like 2 years.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins had to do it.
But I think he's a good player. I think he's worth having for him. It's not like it's an astronomical expense for a tight end. I think it's a fine move.
All right, so just weeks after a judge ended his second college basketball stint, Charles Bediako is asking the Alabama Supreme Court to give him an interim injunction relief so he can play the rest of the season for the Crimson Tide. So will he play again this year for Alabama? Take it or leave it?
Leave it.
Leave it alone.
Really?
I think they're done with that. It's a ridiculous story. It's like one of those deals like everybody is on one side of it. Everybody's like, this is so ridiculous, just stop. And
it is.
I think Nate Oates tried to help Bediako out. Like, he was technically eligible to play, so they let him play. But I think that whole deal is done. He didn't even really help
No, he didn't. He didn't at all. But they went 3-2 if I was reading correctly. So they went 3-2 when he played. But I don't know, man. I kind of feel like we've seen just what a court can do. But this was an Alabama court that did rule against him, unlike,
That's correct.
What Trinidad did. But
Yeah, well, in Pittsburgh, Mississippi, you can't believe that one went Ole Miss's way.
Didn't see it coming. Why didn't do it in Starksville? That would have been cool. We got to.
That would be a great movie. I would love to see that.
All right, so Kansas shooting guard and potential #1 overall draft pick Darren Peterson has missed 11 full games with hamstrings, rolled ankle, flu, and all that. He also left 3 games early due to cramping. So he spoke. He actually spoke this weekend, and this is what he had to say. Everybody's got an opinion on it, Peterson said, but basketball is my life. If I could have been out there every game this year, I would have. If you would have asked me last year what were my goals for this year, I would have never mentioned missing games. So all of this stuff kind of just happened, and I've got to deal with it. So do you take it or leave it that Peterson's actually telling the truth in that he's not just
I'm leaving
in and out of the lineup?
Leave it alone.
I'm not suggesting he's made everything up.
Yes.
I'm suggesting what is very likely an unwillingness to play through anything, which is his prerogative. As I mentioned on the show last week, there's not like $1 million on the line here. There's hundreds of millions of dollars for his NBA earnings potential. And if he doesn't feel like putting that at risk to play basketball for Kansas, that is his right, and it is a reasonable opinion. It's not the one I would have.
Okay.
I would be playing, but I would be the Darius Acuff here, but he's not. So it's just a difference of opinion, and I don't think that's a strong enough statement to make to change anyone's mind. If you can show me an X-ray that suggests you've got significant damage, or a doctor that comes out and says, you got a genetic cramping predisposition, like Patrick Peterson came out and said, like, we'll talk about it. But right now you're just like, it's just hot air. It's like, well, I promise I want to play. Well, there's no proof of that. There's no proof that you want to play. There's proof that you are willing to sit out routinely.
Yeah, and they actually got you on video, like signaling to him, let me get out the game. So tell me this, Hunt, do you feel like there will be a situation where Peterson sits out of like a tournament game? Because the tournament's finna come around, or did he just sits out March Madness in general?
That's going to be the legacy definer.
Really?
If he gives you, what do we think Kansas will play? If he gives you 4 games, let's see, Kansas gets to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. If they get to the Elite 8.
Okay.
If he plays 32 minutes a game in all 4 games, okay. If he taps himself out, that's...
Or he just mystery
that'll
injury.
be his legacy in college, which I'm sure doesn't matter to him, but that will be what it is.
So you can see him having like a Ben Simmons type of, being remembered by the fan base. You know how Ben Simmons doesn't really get talked about out here in Louisiana. Same way that I can feel Darren Peterson keeps going down his road, he will be remembered like that in Kansas, because Kansas has plenty of players coming in and out of that building. So
they do.
I don't know, man. That's it for Take It or Leave It.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Monday. Tomorrow we'll have Sharif Ishak talking Saints. We'll have Glenn West talking LSU and McNeese tomorrow. Didn't mention LSU hoops over the weekend. They lost to Alabama. LSU actually shot the 3 pretty well, but they got destroyed at the free throw line, and they got destroyed in the game. So there you go. That's 4 straight losses for LSU. But they could win on Wednesday. They play Ole Miss, who I believe has lost 9 in a row.
You got to win that one, man.
It's on the road, so
Oh,
they
Lord,
probably
that
won't. But they could. They could win. McKinnon, get hot, shoot some threes.
Just need a little prayer here and there.
I don't have a lot. I don't have a lot there. So yeah, tomorrow's show we'll talk a lot of baseball and some Saints as well. We'll get some combine talk too. I'm looking forward to the week that is to come here in baseball. McNeese tomorrow, and then they'll have a 4-game series this coming weekend. I'm going to go to Lafayette next Wednesday and watch them play in that game across the basin. So that'll be the first road game that LSU plays, the only one they'll play before they start conference play. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Search Hunt Palmer Show, or if you'd like something more short form, Hunt on LSU or Hunt on Saints. That will get you where you need to be. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. Hope everybody has an awesome Monday. We're back tomorrow, same time, same place. The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Marucci, what a gem here in Baton Rouge. It is baseball season. It is softball season. The Bombers are cranking things up for the in the T-ball circuit. Had our first practice over the weekend. I don't think the Bombers are going to be hitting a lot of bombs this year. Look to be a team that's going to struggle a little bit. That doesn't mean that your youth team isn't going to be any good. Check it out, Marucci, with the folks on your youth team. Go take a tour. It's incredible. Got an awesome facility there. They make 1,200 bats every single day. Go take the tour and see where the official bat of Major League Baseball is made. You can take your youth softball team, take your youth baseball team, take them into the hitter's house, take some hacks. If you take the tour, every ticket for the tour comes with a 20% discount to the campus tour store and in the hitter's house. So it can be financially beneficial to go check that out. Plus, it's really, really cool. So go by and see it. MarucciSports.com/campus-tour is where you can find the tickets. That's MarucciSports.com/campus-tour. Go by and see him. It's Marucci.